Hi everyone, welcome to episode 4 of Off the Record. Today I wanted to talk a little bit more about Asian and queer representation in the Melbourne music scene. I personally feel like we are really making change towards a more diverse music culture. A lot of it is catered to perhaps having female representation. So today I wanted to invite Tong to just tell us a little bit more about his experience in Melbourne as an Asian and queer artist. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Tong. That's my actual name, and that's my DJ name as well. I lived in Melbourne for about 13 years. Well, primarily, I have a deep connection to Chicago house and New York house music. Mainly, it's because of the queer roots. As we all know, start of the start of Chicago house music is, right after disco demolition in the 80s, and the queer people, the Black and Latin queer people, sort of gathered at the warehouse, and Frankie Knuckles created this genre of music that was called house music or warehouse music, and then they kind of shortened the name because the record label in the record shops, it doesn't fit warehouse music, so they just changed the name to house music. What it represents is like an inclusive kind of space that is for everyone, rather than, yes, the original house music is my shit.
Obviously, a lot of the queer community has made a massive impact to what you like to play and listen to. Do you feel like your Chinese background has made any sort of cultural impact to you as well?
It has a little bit, but to be honest, I think in terms of dance music, the Chinese culture has a little bit lacking in that genre because electronic dance music was never really a thing growing up in China. I sort of grew up listening to a lot of Chinese pop music, Korean and Japanese pop music. So in terms of Chineseness, I'm trying in the future to add more elements of that as well because I do want to create something that's closer to my roots. But at the same time, I think, yeah, the queer culture has a huge impact of the music that I play because, growing up being Chinese, like in the Asian Chinese society, I think the homophobia and discrimination or marginalization of the minority is like even more than the Western society. So there's nothing that I feel too connected to with house music and the queer community. That's where I found my people, and that's where I found my sound of music and the kind of music that represents freedom, being true to yourself, realness.
Do you feel like there's any situations or times where like you being Chinese is, or even just Asian, has made a difference to how people interact with you, or do people make assumptions or stereotypes?
I'm just gonna point it out. Like, I'm just gonna be brutally honest. Especially in the music scene nowadays, being Chinese and being queer, kind of just facing the general public, kind of gives me two kind of assumptions. So the first one being Chinese is like, people meet me, the first thing they ask me is, "Hey man, where you from?" Like, it's fine if you are genuinely curious about where I'm from and my culture. That's completely fine. But
Yeah.
if you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with asking those questions, but it's the intention behind it. Then being queer, or especially being Asian queer, one of the obstacles or assumption that I face is a lot of tokenism,
Okay.
especially
Yeah.
especially coming from a lot of like people who have this assumption like gay people or queer people are just like really fun and they're just always friendly. We are friendly, but it doesn't mean we want to be friends with everyone.
Yeah.
A lot of people like touching me without even asking me if it's okay,
Yeah.
want to dance with me. Um, yeah, and I think all that experience just kind of taught me how to stand up for myself and just fuck people off
Yeah.
in a way that I'm proud of.
Yeah. Like for me personally, I think when I talk to a lot of people, probably especially people that are outside of the dance music scene, and I'm like, oh, I'm a DJ, in a group, we produce, and the first thing a lot of people say is like, oh, like Peggy Goo, you make house music.
Oh my God. um, yeah, like let's stop right there.
It's really great to hear that you've kind of grown from that as well. You know that you've
Here's all my answers already prepared in my pockets. Like number one, who are you? Number two, What's your name? Number 3, I have no interest in you. Number 4, can you please fuck off? Leave me alone.
Since the time you've been here, and more so and more recently, that you're DJing a lot more, you're running your own events, which, by the way, if you want to tell people what your event group is called.
It's Hell Yeah Chicago. As we know, house music has been commercialized and whitewashed for many, many years since it's got popularized in the UK. And, you know, what's the realness behind it and the queer roots behind it. And another one is called Fads. So it's a queer party. I ran it with my friend Keith. Originally, we just wanted to do like a queer party because, you know, we want to. There's only a few in the city, especially in the north side, and we want to have something that's fun, that's cute, that's a safe space for people.
Obviously, you feel very supported by the queer community, but
Yeah.
do you feel any sort of presence or support by the Asian community?
Okay, so in terms of the local music industry, I feel supported and I don't. Obviously, there are really great queer parties there, like Confide, Closet, Kiki Boba, my party, Fads, FADS, by the way. Um, like, but there's only so many of us, and there is the a little bit more mainstream, a little bit more heteronormative events out there. And sometimes I feel like as an Asian queer artist, it's a little bit limited because a lot of bookings or a lot of, let's say, gigs you get, it's based on how many people you know. And I think as an introvert Asian queer person, there is an obstacle with certain way that I socialize with people because, you know, not many things I'm comfortable with. But at the same time, there are people who like my music and really appreciate my music. And a lot of them are a little bit more old school artists and DJs as well because they know the queer roots of house music and they know the roots of Detroit techno. So they all really appreciate the kind of music that I play.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I feel supported and I don't at the same time.
I mean, I think it's about who you know. That really does apply just to the music industry in general.
Yeah.
Social media, the branding, it's being an artist, I think nowadays, it's just so much work, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not just about the music itself, it's about marketing, content, and a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Like it's a new game, which is fine because we all have to play with it. But at the same time, I think it's very important to go back to the music. I think to every DJ who's out there who want to, you know, who want to be heard, I think essentially you still gotta come back to the music. I believe dance music can be very political, and I play in a very political way, especially for my queer peeps out there. Like when I play, I always send a message to represent the queer community. You know, be yourself rather than trying to be someone cool.
Yeah, 100%. I think I definitely really relate to that, especially because I'm a songwriter. Like I write my lyrics, and even though a lot of the time it's fun, right? It's about partying and stuff, but I definitely, like, if I'm going through it, just writing it all down in form of like a song is so therapeutic for me. And it definitely is, you know, even like what you said, it's a way of representing and showcasing and expressing yourself.
Yeah, you're telling a story through writing songs, and you know, when the songs gets played, your story is being told.
Exactly. Thank you so much for coming and having a chat.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and sharing your story.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yes.
Peace.
Peace out.
See you next time.
See you next time.